Are you ready to replace the kitchen sink in your home, but you don't know how to begin? In this video, I'm going to show you all the steps in installing a new kitchen sink by yourself without asking for any help from a professional. You probably also already have all the tools. Hey folks, Kevin here with Kev's Castle and CastleRemodel.com. First, I want to tell you about my free home maintenance checklist. It's in the description down below. And what it does is it walks you through all the steps of maintaining your home so you don't have to worry about any of the parts of it getting old and wearing out, and you're just going to keep it at the highest maintenance status you can so that you can save money in electric bills and you're not going to have to waste water. You're going to be, your home is going to be operating in a much smoother way. But first, let's go ahead and get to the video on how to replace your kitchen sink. If you would like to check out that checklist, it's in the description down below. I started by turning the water supply off for both of these supply valves, and now I'm disconnecting the lines, and it's easier to do it at the valve than it is to do it at the faucet because it's a tight fit up there. It's really hard to reach. Now I'm removing the garbage disposal by unscrewing these two screws that hold the pipe that comes out of the side of it. You'll also notice a tube above that will need to be removed as well. That is the water that goes from the dishwasher to the garbage disposal. When removing these types of clamps, it's easiest to use a pair of pliers just to loosen it up, and then you can pull it off by hand. If you're interested in learning about how to change a garbage disposal, click the link in the video at the top right corner. Here I'm removing the other drain line on the sink to make sure there's nothing attached below. Using a box knife, I'm cutting the silicone seal around the perimeter of the sink to make sure it's not attached to the countertop anymore. I removed the old sink and took it outside. And then I used a razor blade to clean off all the extra silicone around the perimeter of the opening. This part of the job took a little while, so I'm not going to bore you with all of it. I'm using Dynaflex Ultra by DAP silicone. This is clear silicone. We're going to put a bead of that around the perimeter of the sink opening so that we have a tight seal, a waterproof seal underneath where the new sink is going. Applying silicone is not my favorite part of the job because I have not perfected laying out a smooth, steady bead yet, but that will all come with time and practice. Fortunately, this area where I'm laying out the silicone does not require a perfect bead. Because it's going to be underneath the sink, I just have to make sure that I have a consistent bead and there are no breaks in it where water can escape underneath. And now it's time to put in the new sink. What I need to be careful of is to not smear the bead of silicone I just laid down. I'm trying to put the sink in as straight as possible. I'm getting the mounting clips ready by screwing the bolt in from the small side about halfway down, and I'm doing that for all of them before I go underneath the sink. The head of the mounting clip screw fits into this track that goes all the way around the sink. You'll want to evenly space them out so that they hold the sink equally, and this is a tight area to work in. It does help if you have a spotlight that you can put underneath the sink, some kind of extra lighting so you can see a little bit better back there. Take your time and just get them all in place before you start screwing them down. I now have all the brackets in the locations where I want them, but tightening them down was a bit tricky because the slot on the end of it was pretty thin for the screwdriver. I had to use like an eyeglass repair screwdriver, a pretty small one. It's like the smallest one I have in my toolbox, and I did not know the best way to install these clips. Looking back at the footage, I think I would have tried a pair of pliers to turn the bolt. If you guys are watching this and you're trying to tighten these clips and figured out something else that works better for you, please leave that in the comment section below. I'm curious on what other options are to tighten these clips. It was a little bit frustrating for me to tighten them all down because it's such a tight space back there. I'm getting ready to install the garbage disposal. I'm going to reinstall the previous one, and to do so, here I am putting some plumber's putty around the flange that attaches to the garbage disposal from above. If you would like to learn how to install a brand new garbage disposal, click the link in that top right corner you see up there, and that is going to take you to my video on how to install a new garbage disposal. I'm not going to go through all the steps in this video because I've already covered that in a previous video. Feel free to check that out after this one. I'm getting ready to install all the plumbing now, and to do so I am going to hand tighten everything once it's the proper length. The pieces that I needed to shorten, I just cut with a hacksaw, and now I'm going to hand tighten the piece that goes on the garbage disposal before I attach the next one. Now that all the pipes are in the right position, I am going to tighten them all down completely. Installing the faucet, I start by feeding this gasket down the hoses into the base of the faucet, and then I put all the hoses through that hole in the sink. There are 3 pieces that needed the hoses to be fed through. First, it's a flat rubber washer, and then there is a metal washer that goes on top of that, and finally is a round disc that has threads on the inside with 2 bolts on the 2 sides of it. And once all 3 of those are on the base of the faucet and the bottom piece is screwed on just like this, then I can use those 2 bolts to tighten it down even harder. I'm tightening both of the bolts equally. I'm ready to put the hoses on the supply valves, and because it's such a tight space, I broke off pieces of Teflon tape to wrap the threads. The hose for the cold goes on the left, and the hose for the hot goes on the right. I'm using a crescent wrench to tighten it all down. This piece hooks onto the hose that is for the faucet extension. It will hold the faucet within the range of the sink so that you don't spray beyond the sink, and then also it is a weight that will help return the faucet back to its original position when you're ready to hang it up. For unscrewing both screws, I clamped it to the hose and then put the screws back in and screwed it down. But later I found out that there is a certain way for those screws to go in, and one of the pieces had to be flipped over upside down in order to put the screw in, because one side's threaded and one side is not. Now I'm ready to turn the water supply on to check for leaks. This white piece connects the hose extender to the faucet by just clicking in place. Now I'm ready to check the faucet to make sure everything's working correctly and that there are no leaks underneath. Looks like everything's good.
This sink comes with some pretty cool accessories. Now I'm finishing up by putting a thin bead of silicone around the perimeter of the sink just to give an extra layer of protection so no water gets underneath.
And that's how easy it is to replace your kitchen sink. If you just follow those steps in the order that I laid them out in this video, then you're going to be all right. If you don't have any of those tools, that's okay, because I have links to them in the description below so you can check out the ones that I use. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more videos like this. Here at Kev's Castle and at castleremodel.com, I am here to help you create your castle. You got this.